as a woman, I can accept the fact that not every franchise is going to be catered specifically to my gender, and some of the best franchises don't. They're clearly aimed towards men, yet they've still drawn me and many other people in because they're epic, because they're unapologetic, and that shouldn't be a problem, but it is to a lot of feminists who want to control the video game industry and want every franchise to cater to women instead of doing what made it popular in the first place.
Because the only time I ever see anything about Halo these days is when they're pandering and being gay. Make it stop, because now it's like this hashtag Women's History Month. We honor the women whose brilliance, drive, and creativity continue to inspire change within our industry, studio, and community. You know why? Because like the studio is filled with a bunch of women now. And it's like, hey, I'm a woman. Women are great. I'm not hating women, but this is the problem.
And now, of course, we have Halo in complete disarray. It seems like the people running Halo game studios are kind of turning it into a disaster of epic proportions. And after getting savaged for their Black History Month virtue signaling, Halo is posting a tone-deaf message celebrating Women's History Month.
A bunch of the women that they are hiring in the gaming industry right now aren't actually gamers or passionate about gaming.
What made Halo successful at the beginning? What is the legacy of Halo? What's the soul that we want to bring forward? And what's the craft that we can?
So I thought I'd enjoy my morning coffee until I opened my phone to another pointless, lazy cosmetic pack to a game that's so poorly put together it's breathtaking. This again is another sign that Halo Studios has no idea what they're doing or who their target audience is. Because instead of fixing the damn game, instead of real innovation, instead of bringing you real content, you get a Women's History Month armor set. Yay!
Quick, better in here.
Something nobody asked for, nobody wanted, and clearly nobody is going to use. Welcome to the state of modern gaming. I'd like to talk about this studio's obsession with virtue signaling, because I get you want to cater to this mixed demographic with customizations that represent certain cultures, whether it's Hispanics, Asians, or African Americans, but it's clearly just an effort to capitalize on social trends. And it's gotten very old very quickly, especially again when you haven't brought anything of real value to the table. New weapons, new vehicles, new developer-made maps, new environments, new stories, new modes, the list goes on. All you seem to do here is recycle, remake, respawn stuff from the past. Customization is pretty much the only unique thing you bring to the table. And as you can see, that's starting to get really desperate and extremely wacky with its design, to the point where the game doesn't even reflect Halo anymore, like it's mutated into a completely different game visually. And what you're looking at here is literally a parody of the Rosie the Riveteer poster, where women can do it too, for some reason. What is it you're doing exactly? Because last I saw, your project took a significant dip in player interest. No one is playing this damn game. The Halo brand is a f***ing joke on steroids and no longer considered a flagship title. $500 million, 7 years development, support from 5 other developers, and over 1,200 people working on the damn game. But ain't shit was in the game at launch. What does this have to do with Halo? This is feminist propaganda, and we didn't sign up for this shit. Put together by this progressive left-wing studio, and I'm honestly sick to death of repeating that, and I know a lot of people are sick of hearing it, but facts are facts, and the truth must be told. Because I think everyone with a pair of balls has quite literally had enough of this industry-wide menstrual cycle that continues to ruin all of our games and film today. And the work these progressives, these gender-inclusive teams are shitting out is about as compelling as a female stand-up comedian.
So thank you guys so much for coming to HBO Max Human by Orientation and Pride. No, I actually haven't. I've felt before, but I haven't fully. So I'm bisexual. Wait, let's just redo that. When I say I'm bisexual, I would love it if you got up in the air and if you stood up and then you said, "Oh my God." Yes.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
They obviously care more about their DEI checklists than actually making the sacrifices needed at this point to make a successful game that respects the franchise. These environments are completely devoid of the testosterone necessary to propel these projects forward. And when I say make the sacrifices, I mean they need to admit that they're hiring all the wrong people, they're not actually doing any real work, and they can't do it better than the men, which is why we need to get back to the patriarchy. And this leads me on to the other topic, being their awkward hiring practices. This is a Substack on Fandom Pulse by John F. Trent, which basically highlights all the pushback around Halo Studios' hiring choices. Because the women in this studio somehow thought it was a good idea to hire from the team at Concord, which that game is possibly the biggest flop in gaming history, second to Halo Infinite. Both projects, of course, are both progressive workplace experiments, full to the brim with activists and bitch boys. All of these freaks come together and they create woke trash. This is where the problem comes from. The post goes on to show multiple tweets, which I'm not going into all of them, but these posts are extremely important because it highlights exactly the traits of the left that have been killing this industry. Wade Whalen says,
"Where there is a franchise left to kill, they will find it, because leeching off established franchises is the only way they could ever possibly get the success they are wanting so badly. Although they don't care if it kills the franchise or not, since they only want representation and nothing else, and if in getting that representation it kills the studio, then as far as they're concerned, that is a sacrifice they are more than willing to take."
Here's another one who says,
"This is how the woke rot spreads. These people are all networked. As soon as one gets into a big studio position with any authority, they start bringing in their buddies. Then they start getting rid of the actual talented veteran devs that don't subscribe to their ideology. They're like a cancerous tumor, growing ever bigger and consuming ever more money, time and energy, until the host studio dies."
And all of these are 100% true comments. Of course, a lot of people on X vent out their frustrations too. You've got Haley calling out the virtue signaling, bringing in some of the real-world social impacts that the leftist retards voted for. This feminist gynocentric environment is a fucking joke. And I can't help but think about big tech companies like Meta, where all these women come into work and fucking do nothing but eat all day.
Afterwards, we Ubered to a restaurant for drinks and dinner. From 5:30 to 9, we were at this restaurant just eating, laughing, drinking wine. My team gets along. I felt so excited about my product marketing work after all of these sessions.
Package retrieved! Need immediate!
And before I ask you why these people decided to hire the folks at Concord, I'd like to dive into the character androgyny that's so overtly expressed in these progressive games. Concord being the prime example here, and how it compares with Halo. This basically removes the femininity from the female characters and is often replaced with uglification. This includes everything from man jaws to breast surgery, fat women, and extremely weirdo, bizarre character clothing. And I'm gonna be straight up here. This is what happens when you have a bunch of liberal women making the damn game, designing characters, when they themselves are going through gender dysphoria and monthly hormonal imbalances. Obviously, this doesn't apply to all women, but just by simply looking at the game Concord, you can see why it failed, with possibly the ugliest character designs in gaming history, clearly dictated by the extreme left-wing political radicalism of the activist lead developers with pronouns in their bios. This translates into these body-positive, anti-male gaze, androgynous character designs. One of those characters, essentially the face of the game, is an obese bitch with a blue overcoat, yellow toilet cleaning gloves, and a pair of goggles. There's this grotesque obsession with these visual intestinal accents with rubbery grey overalls, which is for some reason a favorite for these designers, along with the monstrous fat girl archetype that's reused multiple times. And this is done clearly because the female developer in charge thinks fat women are strong women.
Me and my crew.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
And this woman demanded many times in the studio to be referred to as the professor, even though she, of course, is not qualified enough to be a professor. And I need to point out that these designs are so androgynous and so fucking god-awful that even a professional artist didn't realize this is supposed to be a female character, even after remaking the design.
This is the character from the game Concord. It's impossible to know what he does based on his design. This is supposed to be a healer type, and for a war game where characters are constantly running around, he looks way too fat. So let's slim him down and make him ready for combat. His jacket also looks out of place, and bright blue colors to let all his enemies know where he is. It's already got the shape of a lab coat, so why not just give him that instead? And the orange gloves were there to balance the blue jacket, so they don't need to be orange anymore. Instead, let's help the players understand that this guy is a healer by using colors that we associate with health, like red, white, and green. And then his long hair that block his vision also seems like an odd design choice. So let's give him a quick haircut and equip him with some PPE instead. Not perfect, but I think his role is much clearer now.
This androgyny is basically an attempt to equalize the two genders, where these woke developers use the characters to self-inject into the project, uglifying female characters to divert the male gaze in the process. I can point to any other modern AAA title, and I can show you how women have basically hijacked masculine roles, and the men are made to look like weak, pathetic bitches. If we look at Halo, take Commander Laurette for example, a commanding figure intended to replace the legendary Sergeant Johnson. Only the developers didn't have the energy to complete this project despite the 7 years they had, so now we have a character with no real purpose other than to provide meaningless chatter in the multiplayer, and with no role in the campaign, no meaningful presence, coupled with the complete lack of charisma Sergeant Johnson had, it all combines to make this character extremely forgettable, almost unbearable at times, because she's constantly thrown in your fucking face.
Hey, easy there. A lot's happened. We needed to regroup, rebuild. We built this facility off the grid to train the next generation of Spartans.
The fuck are you doing?
Ah. He tells me you've performed well so far. Go up with live rounds.
Oh,
Take your time.
brother, this guy
Get a good feel.
stinks.
You did good. Really good, in fact. I knew I picked well. The state of this universe can shift at any moment. That's why we're needed. To endure
right, I get it!
All right. Commander. Chief, I never paid for sex. You know some cats could pay for it. Why pay for it? If you can't get it for free,
pay for
that's
it.
so sad. Say what?
There is no reason for this character to exist beyond filling some diversity quota, and she annoyingly also overlaps the iconic Jeff Steitzer. So you combine that with the irritating AI that these females in this studio came up with, or whichever dumb bitch boy came up with this stupid AI. This game becomes an annoying audio nightmare, flooded with useless noise instead of the classic immersive atmosphere this series was known for. And when you do manage to find some audio space, you realize there's no ambience. And I'm just going to compare the two games for a second so you understand what I'm talking about with the ambience.
The white zone is for loading and unloading only.
enemy has seized a zone. An ally... An ally is claiming a zone. Running riot!
Your team is close to total control.
This game has no atmospheric ambience, and that's because most of the game was built with the Forge tools. Shit gets so quiet enough for you to hear your grenades click off the plastic surfaces you're playing on.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
And as Haley pointed out, they've removed the option to change body type from female to male, not just in Halo Reach, but also in Halo Infinite. And this was done obviously to pander to the non-binary confused people in their offices. And this is why I personally don't trust liberal women in leading roles, because their emotional instability fuels this toxic mix of arrogance and self-obsession. They embark on these power trips where everyone else pays the price for their problems and the lack of quality they've created, and they virtue signal for social justice, even if it means torching the business or culture they've gone into.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed. I believe in the non-binary God.
What?
Whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had 2 dads.
What?
And saw everyone as a sibling child of God. I believe in the rainbow spirit who shatters our image of one white light and refracts it into a rainbow of gorgeous diversity.
I'm done. You, fuck off.
So I ask you, why the hell would you hire from this studio? Because Melissa Boone, Elizabeth Van Wyck, and all the other leads in this studio thought it was a good idea to employ former Concord director Pamela as senior product marketing manager, along with several others to say the least. And I'm still waiting to see them employ people from the proper disciplines: architects, engineers, level designers, real qualified people who can put this project together. Instead, they've wasted over 2 years on this stupid research project. So you're basically going into the office and all you're doing is practicing with Unreal. What a fucking joke. So Pamela is obviously a woman with probably... And you'd be a fool to believe your average woman has any interest in a first-person military shooter for men. And this is going off what she said in her public announcement, which states,
I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as Senior Product Marketing Manager working on Halo at Xbox. First order of business, more cat helmets.
One look at this stuff and it pulls you out the whole experience. We don't want f***ing cat helmets. Halo was about gritty military shit, not pink shit. And this reeks of nepotism, because if this was truly a diverse studio, again, you'd be able to find at least one Republican conservative in this studio. But you can't find one. Not a single damn one, which basically reinforces my point. And speaking of hiring the right talent, the studio continues down the wrong path and employs forgers from the community to build the damn game. They want to work on this stupid ass game mode called Extraction, like any of this is actually doing the brand any justice.
Today we're excited to introduce S&D Extraction, the newest competitive mode coming to Halo Infinite later this year. S&D Extraction is Halo's version of the popular tactical shooter mode. Here's how it works.
I don't give a fuck!
Apparently this is inspired by Counter-Strike, and it sounds a lot like Search and Destroy from Call of Duty. So they're copying other games again to try and stay relevant. And I don't think ugly ass dead Forge maps are going to spike any further interest in this garbage. And even after you've employed these fools to build the game, you didn't give them access to the dev tools, which you have access to, so they can at least make something visually compelling. Instead, we have to look at these dusty ass walls. These are forgers. They're not level designers. They're not architects. They're not engineers. These are forgers who've built their career remaking maps. All they're doing is plagiarizing other people's work. And there's people out there that think this is a good thing.
I can't hold
And I don't have much to say about these overpriced cosmetics at $40 4 years into the game. You can get a whole other game for that price. This is a problem the leftist retards playing this game created, because you people like to buy this shit and post about it on X like a fucking sick fuck. Like, all this shit is because of modern Halo fans, which, let's be honest, is a couple of thousand people at most. So anyway, the future does not look good for Halo, and I really hate to be so negative all the time, but the truth is, they laughed at the core fan base. They blocked us. They didn't want nothing to do with us and wanted to take Halo and redesign every aspect of the game. Only it's worse, and you can't help but laugh. And I keep seeing these retards in my comments saying, keep your politics out of Halo. They're stacking their teams with progressives, left-wing hires. How you can't see that, I don't understand. We went from patriarchy, full of competent men, working projects in less time, less money on older hardware. 3 years development, releasing bangers. Fast forward to now, and we have this progressive shit, full of diverse idiots, pronouns and shit, need triple the time, triple the budget, new hardware, unfinished bum stupid games, social pandering. I mean, what the fuck? I don't get it. I don't.
Game over.
Our lives for the truth.